So today we're going to do the handover video on the Chausson S514. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming over to the passenger side, opening up your passenger door, you can see that you've got your fill-up points. Here you've got your diesel, and then just below that you've got your AdBlue fill-up point. Whilst we are here, you'll notice you've got Remis cab blinds fitted to this vehicle, and these are throughout the entire cab, including the front windscreen. To detach these, simply pinch the little clip and then lead from the bottom and let that connect up via the magnetic strip, and they will entirely black out the cab. Now taking these back in, again just lead from the bottom, as you can see. The reason I tell you to do this is to stop it from getting caught as you are pulling the blind back and letting that connect into place. And as a rule of thumb throughout the entire vehicle, if something feels like it's being forced, you're probably doing something wrong, so just bear that in mind. Now coming over and underneath the bonnet, there's not many things that you need to know underneath here. The main things that you need to know is if you're jump starting the vehicle. To open the bonnet, you will need the Ford key, and the Ford key just goes into the front here. You need to turn that and that will open the bonnet. As I say, the jump starting point's underneath here. That's your negative point, that's your negative terminal, just this ring here. And your positive is just underneath this red cap here, which has a plus sign to indicate that it's positive. As I say, that's the main thing that you need to know, but just to point out a couple more things within here. You can see that your brake disc fluid is over here, your engine oil is just below that, along with your dipstick. You've then got your washer fluid there, and then there is your engine coolant. Moving around the vehicle, you can see that your gas locker is located on the driver's side. Please ensure that when travelling that the gas is always turned off. The gas should only be turned on when you're on site and using the vehicle. On this vehicle, this uses diesel heating, so you're not going to be using much gas, to be perfectly honest. So the main thing that run off the gas for the Chausson is either your fridge if you're wild camping, or of course your hob, or if you're running it off your heater for your water. Just above that, you've got an awning fitted to this vehicle. You can see directly above the awning you have also got an aerial on the vehicle. With regards to the awning, if it is raining like it is today, don't wind the awning out if you can help it, because if it does get wet, you will need to dry that out at some point, and over time that can lead to mould and it will just degrade the awning, so just bear that in mind. As you can see, you have got two fridge vents on this side of the vehicle. This is where the fridge pulls its air from and cools the fridge. Now bear in mind, if it's a warm day and you have got the sun beating down on this side of the vehicle, just try and keep this area underneath shade, so I'd probably just pull the awning out just to help the fridge run more efficiently. Coming down, you've then got your wastewater sticker. Your wastewater is located, or your wastewater tank rather, is located underneath the vehicle, and when you're on site you'll have a big grid that you just need to drive over, and then pulling this black handle towards you will empty and release the valve to empty the tank. As I say, you've got three main drain down points in the vehicle. You've got your wastewater, which is external to the van, you've got your fresh water, and you've got your boiler drain down point. And whilst we're on the topic of drain down points, you need to always ensure that all the drain down points are drained down before travelling off. As well, if the vehicle is in storage, ensure that everything is drained down to avoid anything from freezing in the tank. At the back, you can see that you've got your garage. Opening this up, you can see in the back here you've got your carpets for the vehicle, along with a couple other bits like your hookup cables and things, with a little bit of storage in the back. Your garage is fully heated and insulated, so if you want to put anything in wet in there, you can do. Now on the back, you've got a bike rack on this vehicle for two bikes, along with the reversing camera right at the top. Coming round, you'll notice that you've got another point for the garage, along with a vent. This is for your Troom event, and when stationary and using the boiler for the hot water, you need to always ensure that this is taken off. There is a cap on here that does remove. At the moment it is off, as you can see. So when stationary and you are using the vehicle, take that off and remove it. When travelling, ensure that that cap is on to avoid any rubbish getting in the vent here. Now, what customers may forget is to take this cap off. They may keep the cap on, so when they come to use it with the cap on, it'll fail. If you do that 3 times, you then need to do a full reset of the system, which is a bit of a pain, so just bear in mind and make sure that that cap is removed when the vehicle is in use for your boiler system. Next, you've got your WC. This is where your cassette toilet is stored, which is just locked at the moment, which I'll open for you now. Main thing to remember about the cassette toilet is that the blade on the toilet is closed when removing the cassette. Now I'll show you where that blade is later on when we get inside of the vehicle, but ensure that that is closed. To remove, all you've got to do is push up on the orange tab and that will release the cassette. Simply slide it out like so, and as you can see, the cassette is released. Now I'll just pop it on the floor here just to show you. To empty the system, all you've got to do is pull out the funnel and remove the yellow cap. Once you've done that, you can then click the orange button on the back, which will release an internal vacuum for the cassette, which will empty the entire contents. You can then put a bit of water in there just to swill it out and empty it. Once you've done that, put the cap back on. You may want to put some blue fluid in that cap. It's got a measurement on there to purify it, and then simply push the funnel back into place, and then that is ready now to go back into the vehicle. You have got this little this little turn thing, piece of plastic, as you can see, which is orange, which turns. This is what makes contact with the blade. This should always remain in this position. This should never need to change, so don't need to move that or anything. If that is off slightly, the cassette won't slide back in, so make sure it remains in the position it did when it came out. Slide it in like so, and as you can see, the orange handle just connects that back into place and locks the cassette into place for transit. Next, you can see that you've got your 230 volt hookup point, so when you want mains electric and when you're on site, that's where you need to hook up from. And next to that, you've got your convenience locker, again back on the passenger side. Within here is where your fuses are located, trip boxes, as well as your fill up point for your water system. I'll open that up for you now. Okie dokie, so with the locker open, you can see that on this side, just behind this panel, you've got your fuse location, as well as your trip box, as you can see. So the vehicle ever trips, you need to come to this point here. And next you've got your 120 litre water tank. Simply pull out the funnel like so, remove the cap, and then your food grade hose pipe can go straight into there to fill up the system. I recommend using a food grade hose pipe just to ensure there's no bacteria built up in the pipe, and when this is overflowing, of course, you know that you've filled up the tank. Now if you are travelling, ideally travel without any water, but if you are travelling with water, you have to travel with 20 litres. Now you have got a second cap here, which is a large cap, which can remove. You only remove that when cleaning out the tank. And then you can also see that you've got a grey little valve here. Now on this you have got 2 drain down points, and this is for your fresh water, which is internal to the vehicle, as you can see. This particular drain down point is a quick drain down point and will allow you to drain, let's say you've got a full tank and you want to drain down to 20 litres. It will allow you to drain the system all the way down to 20 litres. And as I say, it's a quick drain down point. So for example, if you're moving off site, you want to keep a bit of water in the tank, you can flick this up like so, and that'll start draining the tank. Once you've done that, it'll only start truly draining once you go on the inside and turn your pump on for the vehicle. And I'll show you how to do that once we're inside. And as I say, that will drain down the entire thing to 20 litres. Now, if you want to drain down the entire tank, just lift up this and you can see you've got another sticker here which indicates where to drain down the entire thing. Now underneath the vehicle you've got two blue pipes. One pipe is a breather pipe and the other one is connected to the freshwater tank. You need to remove the black bung for that to empty, and that will again drain the entire tank. Now something I didn't mention for the wastewater is what we say is once you've drained the majority of water on site, as you are travelling home you can leave all your drain down points open, and that goes for your boiler point, because that will ensure that the vibration of the road will get all that water out. Now I'll just show you underneath the vehicle just to show you where them pipes are. As you can see underneath the vehicle you've got two blue pipes. The front one is for the drain down point and the back one is your breather pipe. Because we are underneath the vehicle as well, you can see that you have got this exhaust system here. Now this is the exhaust for the Webasto heating system. As I say, this uses a diesel heater which uses its own exhaust system, and as you can see that is just located underneath there, directly below where your convenience locker is. So that's the outside of the vehicle completed. We're gonna now move on to the inside. So now onto the inside of the vehicle. You can see as you walk through your habitation door, on the left hand side you've got your control panel. Your control panel on the Chausson's dead simple and dead easy to use. All you need to do to operate that, click and hold the master switch. You can see that turns everything off. To turn it on, hold that and that activates everything. Now whilst we're at the panel, you need to make sure that this vehicle has actually got a solar panel. It's got a 140 watt solar panel fitted. For the charge to charge the leisure battery, you need to ensure that the master switch is always on, as that will send charge to the leisure battery from the solar panel. Obviously you can turn off your lights individually, like so. Coming back up to the panel, as I say, you've got your your first interior lights here, which turn on and off the interior lights. Next, you've then got your pump button. As you can see, that will activate the pump. Now, when operating the pump, you need to firstly make sure that you've got water in the system. If you've not got water in the system, you could run the risk of the pump burning out. So ensure that you've got water in. Once you've filled up on site with water, click your pump on and go to all of your taps, including your shower. When you're at your tap, you need to turn the tap on and turn it to hot. What that's going to do is it's going to pull water from the freshwater tank into the boiler because you've turned it on hot, and then out of the tap. When it's running steadily, you've run the entire system, and it'll run smoothly, and that is the system primed for the hot water. Once you've done that, flick it over to cold and do the exact same, and when it's running steadily, you've primed your system. And as I say, that goes for all of your taps, including your shower. Now, bear in mind that once you've run the system and it's primed, all of your taps are fitted with a micro switch, which will activate and deactivate the pump whenever you need it. So once you have primed the system, you can leave that pump button on, and it's not going to run the risk of burning it out. It'll only burn out if you have got no water in the vehicle. And as I mentioned on the outside, if you want to drain down the freshwater tank to 20 litres, you need to click that pump button on. Next, you've then got another light switch which activates the awning light or the door light on the outside of the vehicle. And then underneath, you have another series of lights, or switches rather. These are indication switches and will indicate how much power and how much water you've got in the vehicle. So firstly, you've got your habitation battery level. Click that and that will show you the level of what it's at. Your vehicle battery next will again show you your level, and then your freshwater tank, as you can see with nothing in at the moment, but that will show you and indicate the level for you. Finally, you've then got a brightness button, so if you're sleeping with the panel on, you can dim this when at night. And you will also notice that underneath here you have got a little light or a little indicator for your wastewater that will glow or light up when you need to empty the wastewater tank. So just bear that in mind. Straight above that, you've then got your Webasto heater. Your Webasto heater is what is the diesel heater for your vehicle heating. It's dead easy and dead simple to use. All you need to do is simply turn this dial turn it on to the max initially to get it up to temperature, and then you can simply turn it down according to how hot you want the vehicle. Now, when you're initially on site, make sure, of course, you've got enough diesel in the vehicle, which of course you will. If you do run out of diesel, or you're getting low rather, this will cut off automatically as a fail-safe, that you don't drain the tank. But with that in mind, turn the Webasto heater on, and all of your lights will flicker for around about 15 minutes. The reason it's flickering is it's powering up the system. After 15 minutes, they'll settle and they'll go back to a steady light as it's showing now. Now, for example, when you are turning the Webasto heater off, the lights will flicker again because it's powering down the system. So it is normal. Don't worry, you've not broken it or anything. That is the reason. It's just powering down the system. Now, opposite that, you will notice that you have got a little black sensor here, and that is just the temperature sensor for the vehicle. Now, that's the control panel sorted. You can see directly above, just in this little cubby hole here, you've got a solar panel charger regulator, and that indicates how much charge is pulling through to the leisure battery, and we'll just regulate that for you. With your solar panel, you don't need to do anything. You can leave that as it is, and that will just start pulling charge. That will just simply pull charge from the solar into the leisure battery. Next, moving on, you can see you've got a bit of storage here, which is nice, as well as a point for a TV, which just goes into there. You've also got some storage along the cab up here. You can see you've got your lounge area here as well. This table does remove should you want to do that, and you simply do that by picking up the table and pulling it away from the side of the vehicle. Now, you've got two seats at the front. These are captain seats, and these do swivel as well to create the lounge. And you can see at the back you have got points for seat belts for travelling. Whilst we're still in the lounge section, you can see that on your windows you've got a fly screen that just simply pulls down, and you've got the blind which just pulls up, which is your blackout blind, and all of your windows you can of course open as well, just by simply turning the little plastic clips on the side. You can put this windows on venting, but please make sure that your windows, including your skylight, are all shut during transit. Just ensure that. Now, moving over to the kitchen area, we've spoken about priming your system. You can see that you've got your hob here, which is a gas hob, and we've got an igniter switch which you can then feed the gas through. Above the kitchen, you've got your storage, as you can see. And in this front section here, as I say, this vehicle's fitted with an aerial. Now, to operate this, all you need to do is simply unscrew this white valve here, this white plastic clip here, and then push this pole upwards. You can then tighten that into place, and that will maximise the range that the aerial's getting. Now, at the moment, you can see you've got a little switch on here which turns on and off the aerial. Make sure that that's on for the aerial to obviously operate. And as you can see, it's glowing green at the moment, and it's not even up. So clearly, we have a very good reception here where we're parked at the moment. If that's red or amber, you then need to obviously turn the or push up the pole to maximise range, and once it's green, you are good to go. You have got a little winder here on the neck of the pole, which you can wind. If you wind that, that'll tilt or straighten the head of the aerial, depending on, again, the the range that you are getting. Underneath the sink, you can see you've got some charging points along with a 230-volt socket, along with a cutlery drawer, and a bit more storage underneath here. Now, in here, you can see that you've got some grey valves. They are your isolation taps. They need to remain as they are. There should be no reason for them to be turned or anything. Leave them as they are, as that'll they're really just for the technicians to use when operating the vehicle or servicing the vehicle. So just leave them as they are. There's no need to use that. Next, you can see that you've got your fridge. Your fridge is dead easy and dead simple to operate. This is a three-way fridge. You can either run it off gas electric or your battery, depending on what you are, of course, running off. So, if you are, of course, let's say wild camping, you're going to run it off your gas. So you turn that, and that is on your gas. So that little symbol there indicates your gas. If you're travelling, you're going to run it off your leisure battery, as you can see, which is a 12-volt leisure battery. And then if you're on site, you're going to run it off your 230-volt hookup point. Now, a lot of people think that they can run the fridge off the leisure battery, let's say, when they are stationary and wild camping. However, that's not the case, because you'd simply just drain all of the fridge of its energy and power. All of the energy and power out of the leisure battery, because the fridge just takes so much of it. So it will not allow you to do that. You can only run it off the gas when stationary and wild camping. If you are running it off the gas, you've got an igniter switch here as well. And then to turn the fridge on, you have got a power button there, which will turn on and off the fridge. Next, you've then got a dial here, as you can see, which allows you to change the temperature of the fridge. And to open this, you've got a little handle here, which you can just pull open like so. Your freezer's up at the top, and the fridge makes up the rest of the unit. Opposite the kitchen area is your bathroom area. In your bathroom area, you've got this concertina door, which works really nice. You can just push that in, as you can see, and that will release the entire wash basin, which will just simply swing around to create your shower area. Now, we've discussed about priming the shower, and as we say, of priming the taps. But coming over to your cassette toilet, this is really important. As I mentioned outside, you need to ensure that the blade is closed on the toilet when not in use. The blade is this plastic piece here. If you push it away from you, it is open, and that opens the cassette. Pull it towards you, that closes the cassette. When the cassette is in use, you need to open this, so everything's open, so all the waste can drop into the cassette. Once you've done that, click that blue button just behind the toilet, and that will activate your flush. Once you've flushed the system, you need to close the cassette. The main reason for that is it will stop any odours from escaping, but it will also ensure that you get into the habit of that being closed, so when you come to remove the cassette, you don't run the risk of it breaking or snapping. Coming back up to here, you will get an indicator on this panel when the cassette is fully and it needs emptying, and the blue button, as I say, activates your flush. It is worth knowing that you do need your pump on for that to operate. At the back, you can see you've got your bed, along with your ladders, which just connect up onto this point, along with a bit of storage right at the back of the vehicle. Push this up like so. This is just on gas struts, and it allows you to access the back of the vehicle. You can see you've got room for storage here, along with some hanging space, which is just accessible via this door. Now, as I mentioned, this uses a diesel heater and then a Truma system. They both work separate. The diesel heating is for the vehicle heating, so the space heater, and then your Truma boiler is for your water heating. To operate them, you can see you've got two switches. One is for your EL electric, and one is for your gas. So depending on what fuel you've got on site, say if you're wild camping, you run it off the gas. If you're on site hooked up, you'll heat the water using the electric. In the middle position, as you can see, it is off. If you click that up, that'll turn it on, and click it down, that'll give you a different output. So, if you're running it off 1 kilowatt electric, push it up, the button. If you're running it off 2 kilowatt electric, which the majority of the time you will, depending on how much power you're supplied with on the site, you'll push it down. And as I say, in the middle position, that is when it's off. Coming over to the boiler, it's a similar story. If you're wanting to run it off gas, you can click it on the 50 degrees or 70 degrees if you're, let's say, for example, washing up and things like that. The gas will, of course, get the water to temperature a lot quicker, so if you're on site, you might want to use that first. Now finally, we're moving on to your drain down point, which is the final drain down point in the vehicle, and this is for your boiler drain down point. Your boiler is really important. You need to ensure that the boiler is always drained down when the vehicle is not in use, because especially in the colder climates, you do run the risk of that water freezing, so ensure that that is always drained down. To drain that down, you need to just remove one of these panels, which just lay on top of here. And you can see at the back here is where the drain down point is located. It's this yellow toggle here. In the up position, it is open, and then flick that down. That is in the down position, which is closed. So that will open and close the boiler. So when in use, you need to close it, and when not in use, simply push it up like so. So that concludes the handover video on the Chausson S514. I hope you enjoyed.